Hey everyone, it's Dr. Vivian Asamoah. Great seeing you guys live tonight. I'm glad I got this working. It's been taking me a while. I think Facebook is all kind of like choked up. But I'm glad to see you guys on tonight. My name is Dr. Vivian Asamoah. I am a gastroenterologist here in Katy, Texas. Let me get comfortable. This is actually my first live this year, so Happy New Year to everyone. We have such an amazing sequence of talks and awesome guests that are gonna be joining us on natural gut relief. This year we have pretty much planned out our entire year and invited our guests, so we're just really excited to get started. Some amazing research in the field of integrative gastroenterology as well, so I'm happy to start sharing some of that. You guys are going to see some posts about some very funky things coming out, like vibrating. Don't have any dark thoughts here. I'm thinking there's a vibrating capsule that's coming out for constipation, which is really interesting. So I will be sharing all of that. But today, I hope you guys all have had a chance to watch the video. There was like a great TED talk about caffeine and what it does to adenosine receptor. So caffeine is the sort of an adenosine impersonator and just makes you think you can keep going. So I love that video because it's really short. It tells you a little bit about how caffeine works in the brain. So just to get a sense of, why the addiction, why you have to keep drinking more and more coffee to actually stay awake and stay alert, watch that video. I thought it was really good. So in preparing this presentation, as Nerdy Asamoah does, I did a ton of research. I listened to a ton of people. I listened to a podcast and looked at research from Johns Hopkins on coffee because I stopped drinking coffee about 2 years ago. It's been 2 years since we did our first elimination diet group. And sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I'll do like a little bit of matcha tea, which helps. But I was kind of trying to figure out, well, are there any benefits for me? Should I even go back to drinking coffee at all? My son is here bringing my second laptop because the first one wasn't working. Thank you. And so this research has helped. But my conclusion from this is everything in moderation, as usual, as everything in medicine, everything in life, everything in just human interactions, right? Everything in moderation. That's kind of what I concluded. But I was interesting to note that you can find coffee in things like jerky and pudding and not know about it. So it's possible that we're giving coffee to kids at a very young age and not knowing. So going back to read labels, guys, read labels. So there are some anti-inflammatory effects of coffee, and there are some antioxidant effect of coffee, but it's kind of health neutral when you look at the data. It's neither pro or anti all the way, right? And so the benefits are spread depending on how much you're drinking, the quality of the coffee you're drinking, and how your body responds to coffee, right? So you have to internally kind of look at yourself. So coffee actually comes from coffee cherry, which actually contains the seed, the coffee bean itself. And that is then roasted, and then we get our nice roasted coffee. Be careful with instant coffee. Whole different ballgame. All right, whole different ball game. There's a ton of mold in instant coffee. There is gluten. You can find gluten in some instant coffees. So be careful with that. If you're going for coffee, you want to go for great quality, organic, really excellent source, right? A really great source. So what is it about that bean that provides all these properties? So it's got a lot of compounds in it, organic compounds like diterpenes, antioxidants like melanoids, and one that we should remember, that's chlorogenic acid, that has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties, caffeic acid, tocopherols that we find in vitamin E, that have a lot of vitamin E. It's got nicotinic acid with vitamin B. So, and then some heterocyclic compounds that have a lot of antioxidant effects. So studies have shown that moderate coffee intake can reduce low-grade inflammation and fight chronic disease. Yay. Great news. That's wonderful. And this really is coming from that chlorogenic acid, right, in coffee. But when you dive into the research, there's quite a lot of research. So I know I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'm going to be honest here. There's quite a lot of research that shows that coffee does reduce inflammation. They've looked at inflammation markers, like you guys, some of my patients know we check CRP, reduced in patients who drink coffee and people who drink coffee. TNF alpha, which is another very pro-inflammatory molecule, reduced in people who drink coffee. We know that it affects hormones. We know that coffee has been shown to increase testosterone in both men and women, decrease estrogen. It increases adiponectin, which helps regulate sugar. In terms of insulin regulation, there's quite a lot of data that coffee is beneficial, not only in just helping with the adiponectin and regulating insulin, but it actually helps improve the insulin receptors in tissue. So, insulin is better sensitized, like your body's better sensitized. You're not having that resistance to insulin. So that's positive. Tons of data on the neuroprotective effect of coffee. There's actually a study from Johns Hopkins, actually, and they had like 200 patients, gave half of them 200 milligrams of caffeine, gave half of them 200 milligrams of whatever, placebo, nothing, basically placebo. And then they kind of did MRI studies, gave them all these cognitive tests, and they noticed that memory was much better, recall was much better, and just kind of like understanding the information, right? And kind of processing the information was much better when they had coffee. And that was 200 milligrams of coffee, okay? From a neuroprotective standpoint, I'm gonna share some data later in upcoming posts this week because there's a ton of emerging data in the setting of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease that maybe coffee has some benefit, but we know because it's prescribed as a medication against migraines for headaches, right? Caffeine is added to Tylenol, and we see benefits because it actually helps with vasoconstriction of the brain vessels and gives us much better results. So, like, reduces headaches significantly compared to just taking Tylenol. And when you have headaches, you don't want to take Aleve and Advil and those things because it can actually make it worse. So that's interesting. But I think for me, as a gastroenterologist and liver specialist, the biggest data that I saw was actually in terms of the liver, the impact that coffee has on the liver. There was a study published just last year in 2021 that coffee actually has a molecule called paraxanthine that has been shown not only in mice studies, right, in vitro in mice studies, but also in human studies to reduce the effect of scarring on the liver. So coffee is extremely beneficial when you have chronic liver disease, even cirrhosis. And this makes sense because the liver is important for all that detoxification pathway, and coffee helps with detoxification. So a lot of great data on liver disease and the benefits of coffee in liver disease. So really interesting studies there. But we know that it has a lot of side effects, especially when you ingest a significant amount. From a gut standpoint, we know that it can cause heartburn, IBS, palpitations from a heart standpoint, trigger some arrhythmias. And I don't want to go into too much of that because I will present it on our upcoming blogs this week. We'll do a nice post that has all the benefits and all the disadvantages, right? The pros and the cons. I really kind of wanted to talk about the mechanistic, like what the studies have shown. What does coffee actually do to our body? So remember, guys, it does reduce inflammation, and we can see it by inflammation markers. It does help regulate insulin. It does help with hormone balance and actually increasing testosterone and decreasing estrogen, if that's your issue. The insulin part is really important. The neuroprotective effect on the brain, extremely important, and the liver. The promoting the liver health, extremely important. And that's where I think there's the strongest amount of data in terms of coffee. But let me conclude this. Let me just say, there's coffee and there's coffee, okay? So we can pay expensive bucks, pay a lot of money, high expensive for coffee that in itself has the benefits of not being inflammatory and actually having great antioxidant properties. But if we are adding sweeteners to our coffee, milk, like creamers to our coffee, we're drinking energy drinks that have other things in them that may not be beneficial, then that's an issue. We are losing that effect because then we are actually drinking and consuming things that are pro-inflammatory. Okay, so just keep that in mind. How you're drinking the coffee, the quality of the coffee, extremely important. Think about mold and other contaminants that can be in coffee. It wouldn't surprise me if you can get heavy metals in coffee as well, right? We're seeing it in chocolate. Very possible we see it in coffee. This topic I think was near and dear to my heart because I quit drinking coffee several years ago. For me, the biggest difference personally was it reduced anxiety significantly and my sleep just did a full 360. I think if you watch that video, I think I had like too many adenosine receptors. I needed cup after cup after cup to stay awake. And I just couldn't sleep anymore. Like I wasn't sleeping well. So quitting coffee has actually improved my sleep, which has improved my wellness altogether. So I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna try and consume coffee in small amounts and things like matcha and get it in, I like chocolate coffee beans and things like that. Try and get it from green tea. I'll try and get it from other sources, but not a significant amount so that I'm at least getting the benefit of it, but not getting all the immediate side effects and the effects of sleep. So really glad I could share this topic with you guys today. I hope it helps make you make more informed choices regarding your health and regarding whether you want to drink, still drink 6 cups, 7 cups, 8 cups of coffee. And there's more information to come this week. So check out our blogs, check out our posts. And if you have any great sources of coffee that you want to share with us, please put it in the comments so that other people can see and try it. It may be a cleaner source, more organic source, less and a richer source, right? Coffee is really rich in nutrients too, right? Like B vitamins, etc. So I hope you all enjoy this. And I'm coming in a little early today because I have to take my kids out to a show. So I posted live early, but if you're watching this on the replay, put in a whoop whoop. And if you can share any sources of coffee with us, let us know. I know someone's gonna ask me about coffee enemas. I know a lot of gastroenterologist haters out there don't like coffee enemas, but they have worked extremely well for my patients doing detox, like detoxing from candida, detoxing from mold, detoxing from whatever, heavy metals. I mean, the enemas have worked extremely well. I just say not too hot, not too often. We see the great benefits it has from a liver standpoint. So PRN use of coffee enemas, especially when you have issues with constipation, I'm totally fine with that. It has worked for a lot of our patients. So again, my name is Dr. Vivian Asamoah. You're on Natural Gut Relief. Thanks for being a part of this tribe where we share tons of information about natural ways to heal your gut. And check us out. Nicole and I are working furiously at our masterclass for constipation next week. So if you guys haven't signed up, sign up. We have tons of sign up right now. We have like 50 people. So we're really excited about that. It's a free masterclass. And I think we're going to touch on coffee again, especially coffee enemas. Have a nice evening, guys. Have a wonderful evening and a great end of the week. Bye-bye.